For privacy reasons, names and places have been changed. This story is inspired by true events.
On the morning of September 12, 1999, 40-year-old Ross Garcia left his home in Estes Park, Colorado, to hike the Keyhole Route on Longs Peak. He never returned. Despite an extensive search and rescue operation involving park rangers and volunteers, Ross vanished without a trace. For 24 years, his family and friends lived with agonizing uncertainty, presuming he'd fallen victim to the mountain's treacherous terrain. Then, in the summer of 2023, a startling discovery was made high on Longs Peak as melting ice revealed human remains. This is the complete investigation into what really happened to Ross Garcia. Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from, and if you enjoy this content, consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Now let's continue. Ross Garcia, a charismatic high school science teacher, lived for the weekends. His classroom buzzed with his infectious enthusiasm for the natural world, an enthusiasm he carried with him into the rugged beauty of the Rocky Mountains. He was a seasoned hiker, known for his meticulous planning and deep respect for the wilderness. His wife, Yvonne Price, shared his love for the outdoors, though she preferred less challenging trails. Their close circle of friends often joined them on excursions, including Felix Campbell, a fellow teacher and frequent hiking companion. In September 1999, Ross set his sights on Longs Peak, a formidable 14er dominating the Rocky Mountain National Park skyline. He chose the Keyhole Route, a notoriously difficult climb known for its exposed ledges and challenging terrain. He planned a solo hike, a decision not uncommon for the experienced mountaineer. He informed Yvonne of his itinerary, leaving details of his route and expected return time. On the morning of his hike, Ross was seen by other hikers at the trailhead, his pack meticulously organized, his spirits high. He exchanged brief greetings, discussing the weather conditions and the challenges of the climb ahead. A few hikers reported seeing him further up the trail, steadily making his way towards the Keyhole. These fleeting encounters were the last confirmed sightings of Ross Garcia. When he failed to return as planned, Yvonne contacted park authorities. A search and rescue operation was launched, involving park rangers, volunteers, and search dogs. They combed the area, battling treacherous terrain and unpredictable weather. Days turned into weeks, the search area expanding, the hope of finding Ross alive dwindling. The Keyhole Route, with its sheer drops and exposed sections, presented a grim possibility. The search teams focused on areas known for falls, meticulously checking crevices and ledges. Experienced climbers rappelled down cliffs, searching for any sign of the missing hiker. The initial search yielded nothing but Ross's abandoned car at the trailhead, a stark reminder of his unfinished journey. As time wore on and the harsh realities of the mountain's unforgiving nature set in, the search was scaled back. The prevailing theory, supported by the lack of any other evidence, was that Ross had fallen victim to the mountain, lost somewhere along the treacherous Keyhole Route. It was a conclusion reached with heavy hearts, a somber acceptance of the risks inherent in challenging the peaks. Yvonne, devastated by the loss, clung to the hope that one day Ross's remains would be found, offering a tangible connection to the man she loved. Felix Campbell offered support and comfort to Yvonne in the difficult months that followed, his presence a constant reminder of the shared passion for hiking that had bound them all together. The official investigation, led by the Rocky Mountain National Park Rangers, commenced immediately following the initial search and rescue efforts. The vastness of the park, coupled with the rugged terrain of Longs Peak, presented significant challenges. The Keyhole Route, in particular, was notorious for its complex network of trails and steep drop-offs. Investigators meticulously documented the search area, mapping the routes taken by the search teams and noting any potential fall zones. They interviewed the hikers who had last seen Ross, piecing together a timeline of his ascent. These accounts, while helpful in establishing Ross's initial progress, offered little insight into the circumstances surrounding his disappearance. The lack of witnesses beyond a certain point on the trail left a significant gap in the narrative. Beyond Ross's abandoned vehicle at the trailhead, containing his hiking permit and some personal belongings, no physical evidence was recovered. No discarded gear, no signs of a struggle, nothing to suggest what might have befallen him. Ranger David Miller, one of the lead investigators in 1999, recalled the frustration of the search. "We were up against the elements, the sheer size of the wilderness, and the lack of any concrete leads. We knew the keyhole route was dangerous, and falls unfortunately happen. But without a body, we couldn't definitively say what happened to Mr. Garcia. The search teams employed all available resources at the time, including aerial searches and ground crews. They utilized search dogs trained to locate human remains, but the dogs found no trace of Ross. The challenging terrain hampered the search efforts, limiting access to certain areas and making it difficult to cover the vast expanse of potential fall zones. The investigation also explored the possibility of foul play, although there was no initial evidence to suggest anything other than a hiking accident. Investigators interviewed Ross's family and friends, including Felix Campbell, seeking any indication of personal troubles or conflicts that might shed light on his disappearance. Nothing surfaced to suggest anything suspicious. After months of exhaustive searching and investigation, with no new leads emerging, the case was officially classified as a presumed hiking accident. The lack of a body, while hindering a definitive conclusion, left little room for alternative theories given the circumstances. The official report concluded that Ross Garcia had likely fallen from a high elevation point along the keyhole route, his body lost somewhere in the vast and unforgiving landscape of Long's Peak. The inconclusive nature of the investigation left a deep void for Ross's family and friends. Yvonne Price struggled to accept the presumed accident, haunted by unanswered questions. The absence of closure made grieving a difficult and protracted process. The case, while officially closed, remained a lingering mystery, a testament to the unpredictable and often tragic nature of the wilderness. The mountain held its secrets, leaving those who knew and loved Ross Garcia to grapple with the unknown. The years that followed Ross Garcia's disappearance stretched into decades, each passing season etching the unanswered questions deeper into the hearts of those who loved him. Yvonne Price, robbed of her husband and a definitive explanation for his loss, navigated a grief complicated by uncertainty. The presumed accident scenario, while accepted intellectually, offered little solace to the emotional void left by Ross's absence. Birthdays and anniversaries became bittersweet reminders of a life interrupted, of shared dreams left unfulfilled. Friends and family offered comfort and support, but the cloud of unanswered questions lingered, a constant reminder of the unfinished story. The mountain, once a symbol of shared joy and adventure, became a silent sentinel guarding a painful secret. The Rocky Mountains, a majestic and unforgiving landscape, continued their slow, inexorable transformation. Climate change, a growing global concern, began to manifest in tangible ways within the park. Glaciers, ancient rivers of ice, receded at an alarming rate, revealing long-hidden secrets held captive within their frozen depths. The melting ice, a consequence of warming temperatures, reshaped the landscape, exposing areas previously inaccessible, uncovering remnants of a past long buried under layers of snow and ice. This gradual thawing, while a stark reminder of the planet's changing climate, also held the potential to unearth clues lost to time, to offer answers to questions that had long remained unanswered. For over 2 decades, the case of Ross Garcia remained dormant, a cold case filed away in the archives of the Rocky Mountain National Park. The passage of time made the prospect of finding his remains increasingly remote. The mountain, vast and unforgiving, held its secrets close. The initial search efforts, exhaustive as they were, had been limited by the technology and resources available at the time. The possibility of finding any trace of Ross after so many years seemed improbable, a fading hope against the backdrop of the immense wilderness. The story of his disappearance became a local legend, a cautionary tale whispered among hikers, a reminder of the inherent risks of venturing into the unforgiving embrace of the high peaks. The case, while officially closed, continued to hold a certain mystique. It became a subject of speculation among local communities, a recurring topic in online forums dedicated to unsolved mysteries. Theories abounded, ranging from accidental falls to more outlandish possibilities. Some speculated that Ross had intentionally staged his disappearance, seeking a new life away from the pressures of his everyday existence. Others whispered of encounters with wildlife, or even more sinister scenarios involving human intervention. These theories, while lacking any factual basis, served as a testament to the enduring power of unanswered questions, the human tendency to fill the void of the unknown with conjecture and speculation. The mystery of Ross Garcia's disappearance remained a lingering question mark, a testament to the enduring power of the mountains to both inspire and conceal. In the late summer of 2023, a group of hikers traversing a remote section of the Longs Peak area, off the established trails, stumbled upon a grim discovery. Partially embedded in the receding ice of a small snowfield, they spotted what appeared to be human remains. The body, remarkably preserved by the freezing temperatures, lay partially exposed, a weathered backpack still clinging to its skeletal frame. The hikers, shaken by the unexpected find, immediately contacted park authorities. The location, far from the well-traveled keyhole route, was a remote and desolate area, rarely visited by hikers. Park rangers, accompanied by a forensic team, were dispatched to the scene. The recovery process was painstaking and delicate, hampered by the difficult terrain and the fragile state of the remains. The body, encased in ice for over 2 decades, had to be carefully extracted to avoid further damage. The backpack, still secured to the body, was removed with meticulous care, its contents potentially holding vital clues. The remains, along with the recovered artifacts, were transported to the coroner's office for further examination. The discovery sent ripples of shock and speculation through the local community. The remote location of the body raised immediate questions. How did the remains end up so far from the keyhole route, the last known location of Ross Garcia? Had the initial search efforts simply missed the area? Or was there something more to the story? The forensic analysis began with the painstaking process of identifying the remains. Dental records, a reliable method of identification even after prolonged exposure to the elements, were compared to those of Ross Garcia. The match was positive. DNA analysis, a more definitive method, confirmed the initial findings. The remains were unequivocally those of Ross Garcia, the hiker who had vanished without a trace 24 years earlier. The identification brought a mix of emotions, relief at finally having answers, but also a resurgence of grief for the family and friends who had lived for so long with the uncertainty of his fate. The discovery, while providing closure in one sense, also opened a new chapter of questions. As the forensic examination continued, a chilling detail emerged. A small, almost perfectly round hole was discovered in the skull. Its location and characteristics were inconsistent with damage typically caused by a fall or impact with rocks. The forensic anthropologist consulted a ballistics expert. The expert's analysis was unequivocal. The hole was consistent with a bullet wound. The discovery sent shockwaves through the investigation. Ross Garcia's death was not an accident. He had been murdered. The case, long considered a tragic hiking mishap, was now a homicide investigation. Captain Olivia Green, a seasoned investigator with a reputation for meticulous attention to detail, was assigned to the case. Her initial reaction to the discovery of the bullet wound was one of disbelief. A hiking accident turned homicide after 24 years? It was almost unbelievable. We knew we had a lot of work ahead of us to unravel what really happened to Ross Garcia. Captain Olivia Green, head of the newly formed Cold Case Unit, took on the resurrected Garcia case with a quiet determination. The discovery of the bullet wound transformed a presumed hiking accident into a homicide investigation, demanding a fresh perspective and a thorough re-examination of all existing evidence. The original case files, meticulously archived, were retrieved and laid out on Green's desk, a testament to the exhaustive, albeit ultimately inconclusive, efforts of the initial investigation. Green, along with her team, began the painstaking process of reviewing every document, every photograph, every interview transcript, searching for any overlooked clues, any inconsistencies that might have been missed in 1999. The passage of time, while adding to the complexity of the case, also offered a unique advantage. Modern forensic techniques, unavailable in 1999, could now be applied to the existing evidence, potentially yielding new insights. The bullet recovered from Ross Garcia's skull became the focal point of the investigation. Ballistics analysis, a significantly more advanced science in 2023 than in 1999, offered the potential to identify the type of firearm used and, crucially, link the bullet to a specific weapon. Microscopic examination of the bullet revealed distinct markings, unique fingerprints left by the gun barrel's rifling. These markings, entered into a national ballistics database, held the key to potentially identifying the murder weapon. The re-examination of the original case files also focused on the interviews conducted with Ross Garcia's family and friends. The initial investigation, focused on the theory of a hiking accident, had not delved deeply into the personal relationships of the deceased. Captain Green and her team revisited these interviews, looking for any underlying tensions, any unresolved conflicts that might have escalated into violence. The passage of time, while dimming memories, also offered the potential for new perspectives, for individuals to come forward with information they may have been reluctant to share in the immediate aftermath of Ross's disappearance. The investigation expanded beyond the original scope, incorporating new lines of inquiry opened by the discovery of the bullet. Green's team explored Ross's life in detail, examining his financial records, his professional relationships, and his personal interactions. They interviewed former students, colleagues, and acquaintances, seeking any indication of animosity or conflict. The focus shifted from the mountain itself to the people in Ross's life, searching for a motive, a reason why someone would want him dead. The vastness of the Rocky Mountain National Park, initially a significant obstacle in the investigation, now became a secondary concern. The focus shifted from searching for a lost hiker to hunting for a killer. The advancement in forensic technology played a crucial role in the new investigation. DNA analysis, in its infancy in 1999, was now a powerful tool for identifying biological material. The backpack recovered with Ross's remains was meticulously examined for any trace evidence. Fibers, hairs, and other microscopic particles were collected and analyzed, compared against known samples from individuals connected to Ross. The contents of the backpack were also re-examined. While the initial investigation had cataloged the items found, standard hiking gear, food supplies, and personal belongings, Green's team looked for anything out of the ordinary, anything that might offer a clue as to what happened in Ross's final hours. The investigation also benefited from advancements in crime scene reconstruction techniques. Using digital mapping and 3D modeling, investigators recreated the area where Ross's body was found. The position of the remains, the trajectory of the bullet, and the surrounding terrain were analyzed to reconstruct the likely sequence of events leading to his death. This digital reconstruction, unavailable to the original investigators, provided a new perspective on the crime scene, allowing Green and her team to visualize the events leading up to Ross's murder. The meticulous re-examination of the original case files, combined with the application of modern forensic techniques, began to paint a clearer picture of what happened to Ross Garcia in September 1999. The mountain, once a silent guardian of a tragic secret, was slowly beginning to yield its answers. The initial presumption of a hiking accident, a conclusion drawn from the limited evidence available at the time, was now unequivocally overturned. The focus of the investigation narrowed, shifting from the vast and unforgiving wilderness to the individuals whose lives had intersected with Ross Garcia's, searching for the person who harbored a deadly secret. The investigation into Ross Garcia's murder centered on the individuals closest to him, a circle that included family, friends, and colleagues. Captain Green's team meticulously reviewed the original interviews, looking for inconsistencies, subtle shifts in demeanor, anything that might suggest concealed knowledge or a hidden motive. The passage of time, while blurring some memories, also allowed for a fresh perspective, a willingness to reveal information that might have been withheld in the initial stages of the investigation. One name kept resurfacing: Felix Campbell. Campbell, a close friend of Ross and a frequent hiking companion, had been among the first to offer condolences to Yvonne Price after Ross's disappearance. He had participated in the initial search efforts, expressing genuine concern and grief. However, a deeper examination of Campbell's statements revealed subtle discrepancies. His account of his last encounter with Ross, while seemingly innocuous, didn't entirely align with the timelines provided by other witnesses. He had also been noticeably evasive when questioned about his own whereabouts on the day of Ross's disappearance. Further investigation into Campbell's life revealed a troubling detail. In the months following Ross's disappearance, Campbell had begun pursuing Yvonne Price romantically. While not inherently suspicious, this pursuit, given the close friendship between the two men, raised questions about Campbell's motives. Had he harbored romantic feelings for Yvonne prior to Ross's disappearance? Had those feelings played a role in the events of that fateful September day? Interviews with individuals who knew both Ross and Felix revealed a complex dynamic. While outwardly friendly, there had been an undercurrent of competition between the two men, a rivalry fueled by their shared passion for hiking and their close proximity to Yvonne. Some witnesses recalled instances of tension, subtle jabs, and veiled insults exchanged between the two men, particularly in the context of their hiking exploits. The ballistics report provided the breakthrough the investigation desperately needed. The bullet recovered from Ross's skull was a match for a .38 caliber revolver registered to Felix Campbell. The distinct markings on the bullet, a unique fingerprint of the gun's barrel, left no room for doubt. The murder weapon had been identified. Armed with this crucial piece of evidence, Captain Green and her team brought Felix Campbell in for questioning. Initially, Campbell maintained his innocence, reiterating his earlier statements about his friendship with Ross and his devastation at his disappearance. He denied any involvement in Ross's death, claiming his gun had been stolen months earlier. However, confronted with the irrefutable ballistics evidence, Campbell's composure began to crumble. Under persistent questioning, Campbell finally confessed. He admitted to shooting Ross Garcia on the mountain that day in September 1999. He described a heated argument that escalated into a physical confrontation. In a moment of blind rage, fueled by jealousy and a long-simmering resentment, Campbell had drawn his revolver and fired a single shot. He then dragged Ross's body to the remote snowfield where it was eventually discovered, burying it under rocks and ice in a desperate attempt to conceal his crime. He returned to the trailhead, feigning concern and participating in the search efforts, all the while harboring the dark secret of his deadly act. He had concocted the story of Ross vanishing on the mountain, hoping the rugged terrain and the inherent risks of the keyhole route would lead investigators to conclude it was a tragic accident. Campbell's confession provided a chillingly clear picture of the events that led to Ross Garcia's death. He admitted that his romantic pursuit of Yvonne had been fueled by a long-standing infatuation, an obsession that intensified after Ross's disappearance. He saw Ross as an obstacle, a rival standing in the way of his desires. The hike that day, ostensibly a shared adventure, had been a carefully planned opportunity to eliminate his rival. The remote location, far from the established trails, provided the perfect cover for his crime. He had counted on the mountain keeping his secret, believing the harsh environment would conceal his crime forever. The trial of Felix Campbell captivated the small Colorado community and beyond. The courtroom was packed with reporters, onlookers, and those who had known both Ross Garcia and the man accused of his murder. The prosecution presented a compelling case, meticulously laying out the evidence: the ballistics match, the recovered remains, and Campbell's own confession. The defense argued for a lesser charge, claiming the shooting had been a crime of passion, a momentary lapse in judgment fueled by jealousy and grief. Yvonne Price, a stoic figure throughout the proceedings, testified about her relationship with Ross, the devastating impact of his disappearance, and the unsettling realization that her husband's supposed friend had been responsible for his death. Her testimony, delivered with quiet dignity, painted a picture of a life shattered by betrayal and deceit. The jury deliberated for 3 days before returning a guilty verdict: second-degree murder. The judge, acknowledging the gravity of the crime and the calculated nature of Campbell's actions, sentenced him to a substantial prison term. The sentence, while offering a measure of justice, could not fully erase the pain and loss endured by those who loved Ross Garcia. The resolution of the case, after 24 years of unanswered questions, brought a complex mix of emotions. Relief, closure, and a lingering sense of disbelief permeated the community. For Yvonne Price, the truth, while painful, finally provided the closure she had longed for. It was a shock to learn that Felix, someone we considered a friend, was responsible for Ross's death, she stated in a press conference following the verdict. But knowing the truth, finally having answers, allows me to begin the process of healing, of remembering Ross for the wonderful man he was, not just the mystery of his disappearance. The case of Ross Garcia resonated far beyond the local community, capturing national attention. It highlighted the enduring power of forensic science, the ability to uncover the truth even after decades of uncertainty. It also underscored the devastating impact of unsolved crimes on families and communities, the lingering questions that can haunt generations. The case became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dark undercurrents that can exist beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary lives. The idyllic image of the Rocky Mountains, a place of natural beauty and escape, was forever tainted by the shadow of a murder committed within its majestic embrace. The discovery of Ross Garcia's remains, brought about by the unintended consequences of climate change, served as a stark reminder of the planet's changing environment. The melting glaciers, while revealing long-held secrets, also signaled a warning about the fragility of the natural world and the potential for unforeseen consequences. The case, while ultimately resolved, left a lingering sense of unease. The mountain, once a symbol of shared joy and adventure for Ross and his friends, had become a silent witness to a betrayal, a place where friendship had turned to murder. The legacy of Ross Garcia, the charismatic science teacher who inspired his students with a love for the natural world, endured. His memory was honored by the school where he taught, with a scholarship established in his name to support students pursuing careers in science education. Yvonne Price, while forever marked by the tragedy, found solace in remembering the man she loved, the joy they shared, and the enduring power of the natural world that had brought them together. The case of Ross Garcia, a story of love, loss, betrayal, and ultimately justice, served as a testament to the importance of seeking answers, of never giving up hope, and of the enduring power of truth to emerge, even from the frozen depths of time.